Welcome to the podcast about venture capital, where investors and founders alike can learn how VCs make decisions and reach conviction. Your host is Nick Moran, and this is The Full Ratchet.
Welcome back to The Full Ratchet. On today's special segment of Investor Stories, the investors address trends, sectors, and markets that they think are positioned for outsized returns in the future. This is the segment called What's Next? On today's special segment, we have Eric Sippel of Sippel Farm. Eric, can you talk about sectors or trends that you're bullish on?
So I love the deep tech space. To me, I love reading about and learning about what's going to happen in the future today. So that's just emotionally, I love that piece of it. And, financially, I just think that, we're doing so much amazing research and development in this country and around the world, because it's not, my portfolio is not just in this country, that is really, we're growing, our technical knowledge is growing exponentially. And so I'm very excited about that. I also think that, back to the investing side of what excites me about it is it's hard to invest in deep tech well. And there are very few that do it. And so back to my rubric about inefficient spaces, there's massive opportunity, as I just said, and there are just few who can do it well. So that's another reason why that excites me.
On today's special segment, we have Sarah Zulkosky of Recast Capital. Sarah, can you talk about sectors or trends that you're bullish on?
Well, stating the obvious, certainly more diverse partnerships is one that we're very bullish on. That's what we're focused on at Recast. But there's amazing innovation happening in so many different sectors. And for us at Recast, as a fund-to-fund platform, we're looking to build kind of truly diversified exposure for our limited partners, right? So that diversification extends to vintage year, fund duration, right? Funds 1, 2, and 3. Certainly sector exposure, to some extent stage, geographical exposure. So by nature, I am trying to cover a lot of ground on behalf of our limited partners, but we are seeing a lot of innovation happening. And, an interesting trend, I think, from net new emerging managers today is, many have purpose-driven strategies, not to be catalytic capital, not to be kind of sub-market rate returns, but truly because the biggest challenges that we're facing today are met by really interesting, scalable solutions that are absolutely venture backable, right? And can generate amazing venture returns. And so I think you're seeing a lot of purpose-driven strategies in a number of areas, right? That might be sustainability more broadly. That might be healthcare. You're seeing, the rise in focus on femtech as well, health and wellness more broadly, mental health. There's a number of areas that, we're excited to see and that we imagine we'll have exposure to out of the portfolio. But we have many areas of interest. So, and that's just by nature of the fact that we're trying to cover a lot of ground.
On today's special segment, we have Greg Sands of Costa Noah. Greg, can you talk about sectors or trends that you're most bullish on?
We've talked about applied AI. We've talked about data and machine learning infrastructure. We've talked about Web3. All of which I love, and that's where I spend most of my personal time on. We have a big fintech practice, and so Mark Selko and Amy Cheatham basically are full time on fintech. And one of the things that I just think is so interesting is, in some ways, enabled by COVID, where everybody's through a Zoom screen, is that we have opened up both Latin America and Africa as fintech markets, where they are enormous opportunities to leapfrog the existing absolutely terrible financial systems. And I think I'm so intellectually interested. I'm so thrilled to be able to bring better financial experiences to those consumers and businesses. And I think that there is a ton of headroom in those environments. And even in a tougher financial environment, that 10-year trend is going to be lights out.
Is there, when you're investing in emerging markets like Africa or Latin America, is there a framework or some sort of lens that you apply that can help you? Is it just back to basics, like where's the market and
what tech can help us reach that market? Or is there kind of a lens that you use as you look emerging market to emerging market to see, what types of businesses have multi-billion-dollar potential?
It's interesting. Ultimately, I think it does end up being market by market and segment by segment, but there's kind of a maturity curve. And so you sort of look at, broadly, we've tried to do things that are Pan-African or can spread across Latin America. And obviously different countries have slightly different maturity curves. But one of the things that I think is so interesting is that, one, obviously the great thing about fintech is that the markets are enormous. So even the markets within Nigeria or Kenya can be really big. I think the other is that you end up having these dynamics that are very unique. So for example, I was one of our co-investors in Africa, firm that we really like working with called CRE, and Pule is the founding partner there. And I came in, we've done a bunch of work in InsurTech. I came in very bullish about it. What are those opportunities? I haven't seen much yet. And he said, basically, look, you haven't seen much because basically the standard of living is such that people they're basically working on staples, and people aren't ready to buy insurance products, and the cost of capital is too large. So yes, it will eventually be big, but the market isn't ready for it. So having local partners and having people on the ground, both to work with founders and to understand those dynamics, are really important. And I think the maturity curve is a pretty essential part of that.
That will conclude this installment of Investor Stories. If you're enjoying the program and would like to see it continue, take a moment and leave a 5-star review in iTunes. Also, if you'd like updates on new content from TFR, as well as the top 10 VC articles every week, go to fullratchet.net and sign up for the newsletter. Okay, that will wrap things up for today. Until next time, over-prepare, choose carefully, and invest confidently. Thanks for joining me.